morning, everybody. Keith Engle for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I'm joined by my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer Jack Hirsch. Good morning, Jack.
Hey, good morning, Keith. I got to tell you something funny. This is a very quick audible just because I know we're going to talk a lot about the NFL, obviously, today, even though we're going to tend to start off with baseball. So remember the movie For Love of Game with Billy Chappell? Starting the eighth inning, he says to the catcher, has anyone gotten on base yet? And all of a sudden dawns on him that he's got a perfect game going. Well, right before we're talking about the NFL, I'm looking at my notes and I'm saying, does anyone have an O in their record besides the New York Jets in the NFL? And all of a sudden it dawns me, no. Everyone has, has won a game, lost the game, well, whatever. But the Jets are the only ones with an O on the one loss column.
Well, it looks good. They like to stand out from the crowd. Well
They're
done.
Standing out. They're certainly standing out.
Well, we'll get to all that football because there's some big news, obviously, in the NFL. But let's start off a little baseball because I think Danny's comment is the Yankees better get the momentum going. We've talked about momentum a lot on this show, and it is certainly rolling in the wrong direction. The playoffs do get some attention, even if there's only 2 games yesterday. You'll get it, Danny, for sure. And good morning to Brian. So the Yankees, 2 games in a row. I think 10-0. If I'm I can't remember now. 10-1 Saturday, whatever.
Yeah.
13-7 yesterday after being down 11-0. We talked a little bit before we came on. I can't blame Aaron Boone for this. When you don't score runs and you give up, 10 or 12 or 13 a game, you're going to lose. And the only nitpick I have is maybe with Warren. We talked about it coming in that spot in the, the 4th inning, I think, in a jam, 5-0 down already, and it kind of got out of control from there. But it's a nitpick. I might have brought in somebody to get out of the jam, then pitched Warren. But Yankees backs to the wall, and their season hinges on Carlos Rendon tomorrow, and then the day after, most likely Cam Schlittler. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. They're not done. These are 2 guys who have played pitch pretty well recently. So, but it's going to be a big turnaround for this offense.
They're in a dire situation, Keith. It's easy to say they're not done, and obviously they're not done. I could name a lot of postseason cases, and I mean a lot of them where a team won 3 in a row.
Sure.
It's not uncommon. But the Yankees in a tough situation, and the best way to come back is their starting pitching. No ifs or buts about it. Rendon has to pitch much better than he did against Boston. He has to go back to his form in the regular season. And then you have Schlitter. He has to just pick up where he left off against the Red Sox. And Max Fried would be much better if it came down to a game 5. But, they say win 1 game at a time. I look at it a little differently. When you tell a team to win 1 game at a time, you're telling the team they're in a bad hole. I would put it another way. We got to win both these games at the stadium to set up the ultimate game. That would be my attitude. But if the Yankees aren't going to be hitting, it's all going to be irrelevant. They got their bats going a bit in 1 inning yesterday, wound up with 7 runs. And the last couple innings of the game, they flatten out once again.
I'm disappointed, really disappointed in Max Fried's effort yesterday. I mean, he's got to pitch better. I'm not saying he's got to win that game because he needs help to do it, but he's got to pitch better himself. And I'm sure he's kicking himself today. He's had a great season with the Yankees. Maybe we'll see it again if they extend this game to game 5. You may see him at some point in that game. He only threw 50 pitches yesterday.
You're going to see Max Fried back. I mean, they're saving him for if there's going to be a game 5.
He may not start, but he'll pitch at some point.
Well, he would start. No. He'd have enough rest for game 5. He would be fully rested because it would be Friday night, the game 5. It would play.
That's true.
Friday night.
That's true.
He'd actually be on, he'd have 4 days rest. He would be in, top form as far as that goes. So, I mean, your starting pitching is set up well rested for the next 3 games. But when I say 3 games, it's 1 game at a time. Obviously, they lose tomorrow. Game 3 tomorrow night. It's all over. It doesn't matter. And So we'll see how it plays out. But they have to start hitting. You said, Danny, I was talking with Keith about this before the show. I hate this nitpick. I hate this nitpick by you and other people.
He's 440
about Aaron Judge. He's hitting 444 in the series. Now, Keith says they've been quiet hits, and I do have to admit, he was in a very big spot, yesterday. Well, 2-0 and bases loaded, and he struck out. Very big spot there. And the hits, according to Keith, have been a little quiet. But, if they don't have other players on base, what's he supposed to do? Yeah. He's not going to make loud hits if he's not in that situation enough times. He's hitting 444 for the playoffs. I mean, anyone would take what he's doing.
Well, he wasn't going to drive in, 20 runs in these two games. So it's not. This isn't on Aaron Judge. This is on the pitching staff. And they got to score some runs. They scored 7 yesterday once it was out of hand. But they need an all-round game tomorrow. They need to play very well and change that momentum. Right? There's that word again.
I don't know. Momentum is changed on the snap of a finger.
It can.
It really is. They were down 1-0 to the Red Sox. Don't tell me they recaptured momentum. They eked out a win in Game 2, a game that could have gone either way. Then got a great pitching performance from Schlitter in Game 3. In these first 2 games, Toronto is ready for. You have all these theories, Keith. One of your theories was, you don't want to buy. You'll come in. Maybe a little rusty. You won't be. I see how rusty Toronto is coming into after the bye.
That bye, and I think Danny brought it up in our group chat over the weekend. It's still a 50-50 proposition because so far, I mean, Toronto's made out well with it. Seattle is even
1-1. They're 1-1, which is to be expected anyway.
Game 1, so it's still 50-50, and that's what it is since this format went into place. Half the teams with a bye win, and half have lost.
Well, the Phillies lost to the Dodgers. They had their time off. Yeah. Okay, they had their bye time off, but the Brewers trounced the Cubs, and they were coming off a bye. In other words, I think it only matters the bye. And it helps because you advance around. You're not taking the risk of getting eliminated. You advance. It has its pros. It has its cons. I do agree with you. It could take your edge away just a little bit. But conversely, you do get to rest players.
And to be clear, my comments about the bye were that it's still kind of up in the air whether it's worth it or not. I didn't make a decision one way or the other, whether it was good or bad. One thing
But with the Yankees, it's I know I just said it's a different approach from a game at a time, but when you're facing elimination, it's hard to look at the big picture, even though you try to.
Yeah, and Danny, I'm not going to judge. Listen, Judge has not blended well. You're right. He's been like
What about this year, Danny? I don't want to pass years.
Yeah, let me finish. Because I'm probably going to say the same thing. Kershaw has been bad over his career, but he's had good moments. And Judge, I think he has a great postseason now. And if the Yankees come back and win this series, nobody's going to remember about the past, right? We're going to remember what he did now. So, again, he's hitting 444 this series. That's what we're talking about. So,
if the Yankees were eliminated yesterday, how can anyone point to Aaron Judge on balance, even though he had one plate appearance in a big spot, bases loaded, he struck out. That was disappointing. Yeah, very disappointing. But on balance, if the playoffs ended yesterday, he had a decent series. For the most part, he was getting 2 hits a game and a walk. Yeah. I mean, he's gotten on base half the times he's gotten up. Come on.
So my opinion is based on what he's done this postseason. I agree. Previous postseasons have not been good, Danny. You're absolutely right.
He's responded so far this postseason. He hasn't hit any home runs, a bunch of singles, but he's been getting on base. I mean, what more do you want?
One thing that I've noticed about and this feels like it goes back. I was thinking about this last night. It feels like it goes back for maybe decades. The Yankees do not pitch well against young pitchers they've never seen before. Yet, Savage yesterday was brilliant. 11 strikeouts in, just over 5 innings. I've seen this a lot over the years with the Yankees. Good young pitchers who they've never seen, they always seem to struggle. And not recently, but I feel like it's gone back decades. Maybe it's just in my mind. I don't know, but I have
these young pitchers throw these breaking balls low and away. They're out of the strike zone, and players like Stanton swing at them. I'd love for one of the Yankee players like Stanton figuring, okay, the count's full, 3-2. I'm just not going to swing at the next pitch. It's going to look like it's over the plate, but it's going to break low.
Well, then when he takes one,
breaks the heck out of me when a ball is in the dirt.
Then when he takes one down Main Street, you're going to rip him. So, yeah. By the way, speaking of Stanton, he's the guy who's really not stepped up here in this series.
Well, yesterday he did get a couple of hits finally. Yeah. I admit I was losing patience with Stanton, one of my favorite players on the Yankees, because he hadn't been doing anything. It seemed the last 3-4 weeks of the regular season, he hit a wall. He was off for the last few weeks after he went from being arguably the best hitter in baseball for 1 month, arguably for 1 month. One of the best.
That's that way,
for 1 month.
That's his MO.
One of the worst the next month. And then he's carrying it into the playoffs. It was painful to watch. And like I think I told you before the show, if I were to manage, I would have considered putting Caballero in the DH spot because Caballero gets on base. He steals bases, and I would have considered that option at least. I don't know whether I would have had the guts to actually do it, but I would have seriously considered that.
I doubt he'll do it now, down 2-0, but we'll see. In the other game yesterday, another really good game, the Mariners and Tigers. This is going to be a good series. I think this goes 5 games. The Mariners, after losing game 1, Tigers are probably happy I would say the Tigers might be happy to get away with a split, but after they win game 1 and they got the best pitcher in baseball going, they're probably disappointed now not being up 2-0. Scoble doesn't pitch horribly yesterday. They can't score enough runs to help him out, and they lose close.
I think they have game 5 on Friday. So if it goes 5 games, they're back in Seattle, and that means Scoble will be the starting pitcher.
Yeah, they got to get there. I felt the Tigers to win the series had to win both games that Scoble pitched, so we'll see.
It doesn't always. A lot of times it doesn't work out that way, but let me take a look here. Game 5, like I'm thinking, is going to be...
it should be Friday.
Game 5 is in Seattle. If the Tigers win one of the next 2, they got Scoble game 5. So the Tigers are still in good shape when you think of it. If they just split in Detroit the next 2 games, even though they're going back to Seattle, I'll take Scoble over home field advantage anytime.
Yeah, listen, I agree with Danny. This is the way I like to watch baseball, right? Well-pitched games, well-played games. I don't have to have 9 to 8 games. I like 3 to 2 well-pitched, well-played games. This was a good game. I thought game 1 was a well-played game, and I think that's what you're going to see in the series going forward because the Mariners have pretty good pitching as well, and probably deeper than the Tigers.
All the series could go either way. It looked like the Phillies may have had the game in hand a couple of nights ago against the Dodgers to go up 1-0. Then Tosca Hernandez hits a 3-run homer. Dodgers win 5-3. And you think of missed opportunities. If the Phillies could have grabbed game 1, the Phillies having, really good team as is, they would have been in a good spot against the Dodgers. But now you're thinking the Dodgers were so-so during the regular season, did enough to win the division. They weren't as good as any of us thought they'd be, but they were still good enough. And now they're in the playoffs, and it's like the Dodgers are rounding into form come playoff time.
The Phillies had them on the ropes too. They scored 3 runs early against Ohtani, and he pitched great except for that 3rd inning.
Yeah,
and they had their chances, and now they have Snell against Luzardo this afternoon. I guess it's this afternoon, right? Is that 4:00 start or no? 6:08. Sorry, 6:08 and 9:08 today.
For the West Coast, that's afternoon. You're right, Keith.
I'm a little. Oh, yeah. Well, yes, it's played on the East Coast, but I think it's a big win for the Phillies. Got to win today, I believe, or they're going to be the same.
Yeah, the Phillies are going to win 3 straight against the Dodgers. They're not. It's not going to happen. This is a virtual must game for the Phillies. It's never really a must game till you're actually facing elimination in itself. But the reality is the Phillies are not going to win 3 in a row against the Dodgers. The Dodgers are too good to blow a 2-0 lead. If the Phillies win today, even though I still like the Dodgers, you never know how the series could pan out, how it could turn out. Because the Phillies are certainly capable of winning 1 out of 2 in LA, and that would send it to a game 5 in Philadelphia. So who knows? But the Dodgers should win this series. I think the Phillies, it was a missed opportunity in game 1. You can't miss opportunities against the Dodgers.
100%. And then the other series, leading 1-0, the Brewers will face the Cubs again tonight. Another name I always struggle with. Imanaga will close enough against Ashby tonight for Milwaukee. Milwaukee just plays really good baseball. They're fundamentally sound, and the Cubs are not necessarily. I thought
Councilman sometimes turn quickly. If the Cubs win today, the next 2 in Wrigley Field. There's an underlying factor here. Craig Counsell left the Brewers to become the Cub manager, and so there's a little underlying feeling. Milwaukee would kind of like to win this to say, you should have stuck with us. We can win it, without you. And just like with the Yankees, there's a tiny Juan Soto factor involved. Very small, but it's there. In a way, the Yankees would love to win a World Series and Soto went elsewhere, and they would laugh about it, even though I think that would be inappropriate.
Soto was there 1 year. There's no storyline the Yankees winning without Soto. He was there 1 year. He's a blip on the radar.
They won with them. They went to the World Series, and Todd Grisham had a big year part of the trade, but he's going to be a free agent. He'll be gone next year. But we'll address all that in the offseason.
Yeah.
Especially the Pete Alonso situation. That's going to be, food for conversation.
Speaking of Counsell, he also has contributed to his team being down 1-0 when he decides to pitch Boyd on 3 days rest in game 1, and he gets lit up. I think he got 2 outs in the game, and after 30 pitches, they took him out down 6-0. So
never pitch a pitcher on short rest to me, unless there are no other options, because you throw a pitcher out of his routine. It's extremely rare that he's going to be as effective as he normally is, because they're creatures of habit, and it's a mental thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that I would do that. Look, if it's a decisive elimination game, a game 7 or game 5, in this case in the playoffs, I can understand you bring him out of the bullpen for an inning or 2 or whatever, like the Diamondbacks did in the 2001 World Series, where they brought Randy Johnson in for an inning out of the bullpen. Yeah, by all means, don't get me wrong. But to start a guy on short rest, even 1 day less than normal, always strikes me as a panic move.
Not in game 1, and we're not talking about Randy Johnson. We're talking about Matt Boyd. I mean, geez, this is that is a desperation move. So
yeah.
So anyway, we'll look forward to those games, and hopefully we still got a series going on when we see you guys again Friday morning.
That would be something, right? We're discussing a decisive game 5.
I'd be like,
or you'll be calling for Aaron Boone to get fired. Friday morning.
There's a possibility I could be.
One of the two.
I could be in a foul mood, yes. Let's pivot to the NFL. There are as Jack said at the open, there's only 1-0 left in the NFL. That's the Giants with no wins, as the last 2 undefeateds go down yesterday in a bit surprising fashion. I like the Patriots. My pick was more heart than head, I have to admit. But they've been playing better. Drake May's getting better all the time. They gave Buffalo everything they had last night. The defense played well. They forced some bad plays from Josh Allen. And I have to tell you, Drake May made some plays out of nothing last night. At least 3 times last night he had losses, and they were dead. And he finds a guy open, and they overcome a bad fumble from Stevenson again early. He may not have found a field again if Gibson doesn't get hurt, but he has a good game and makes some big plays last night. And Stephon Diggs just was on a mission from the get-go last night. I don't know if he's changed he says he's changed, right? He says he's a leader. I'm not quite sure yet, but he played a great game last night. Patriots, except for penalties, this wasn't a pretty game. This was an ugly game for the most part. Oh, I think there was 20 penalties in the game. But the big win for the Patriots, and it's a statement win in Buffalo.
Statement win.
You can't say anything bad about them. What are your thoughts?
Oh, no. I thought the Patriots were going to have a good team next year. Not this year. This year, I didn't think they were going to have a good year. I thought it was a transition year. I thought they'd go something like 6-11 this year. It remains to be seen what their record's going to be. But at this point, I'll be stunned if they fell apart and went 6-11. You don't go into Buffalo and win a game like that, a game that Buffalo had to be up for just by the mere fact it's a Sunday night game. Everyone's up for Sunday night games. That's the showcase game of the week. All your colleagues in the NFL are watching you play that game. I mean, that's the big marquee time slot. And I thought the Patriots were going to give the Bills a good game, actually, but not beat them. Okay, not actually beat them yesterday. And, for Buffalo, if you win yesterday's game, basically the division, I don't want to say is all over nor locked up, but in reality, it is.
Most likely.
It is. But now the Patriots are just being annoying. They're like on their heels. When all's said and done, the Bills probably win the division. I don't think they're worried on that account. They're probably the better team than New England, but they had some problems, the Bills, running the ball. What did James Cook get, like 50 yards? And something about this Buffalo team, are we overrating them a little bit? Just a little bit?
Yeah, James Cook has got to touch the ball more than he does, I think. I mean, you're doing the team a favor. You're playing whether it's the Patriots or anybody else, and he's not touching the ball more than he is. I know they want to keep him fresh for the playoffs and whatnot, but you got to win games now, too. And Cook's got to touch the ball more. And to Brian's point, yes, you know what? The Bills didn't play badly or did play badly, but sometimes you have to look at why they're playing badly.
Yeah.
Forced into that as well. The Patriots forced a lot of those mistakes that the Bills made. And I'm not going to tell you they played a great game. I'm not going to say that. But we saw the same thing with the Patriots against the Steelers 2 weeks ago. They should have won that game. They outplayed them and just turned the ball over right and left. So,
and sometimes a team gets better as the season goes along, a little by little, while other teams kind of flatten out. And it's safe to say this isn't the same New England team that lost the opening game of the year to the Raiders, the Raiders have been dismal for the most part since then. Yeah. The Raiders haven't won a game. The Raiders are 0-4 since beating the Patriots. I mean, just think of that. And the Patriots are 3-1 since then. So maybe under Grable, they're getting it.
I told you
little by little getting better. And I know we say have patience with these coaches, like you take the Jets with Aaron Glenn. That's a different discussion. Be patient. Eventually it comes around. But Grable's already an established coach at Tennessee. It's not like it's getting a former Patriot semi-legend and bringing him back as a coach without serious coaching experience, without any head coaching experience. Grable already established himself as a decent head coach at Tennessee. My only concern with Grable was how he might develop Drake May. I think the best thing Grable can do is basically leave May alone for the most part and let him just grow. Don't overreact the way he did with Malik Willis when he was the Titan coach.
He didn't have Josh McDaniel as his offensive coordinator either. He will let Josh McDaniel work.
Exactly.
May.
I mean, say what you want about Josh McDaniel. He's not the most liked character, and his head coaching stop at Denver didn't work out. Then he turned down the Indianapolis Colts job. And then with the Raiders, it didn't work out. He had 2 stints as the head coach. Very successful offensive coordinator and not given enough credit for Tom Brady's success. I know Brady had success under Charlie Weiss, who was the offensive coordinator, but you would be able to speak to it better than I would. Did McDaniel have more of an impact on Brady's success in a way than Belichick. And I'm not talking about Belichick giving Brady the opportunity. Kudos to Belichick. He took a chance on Brady when most head coaches wouldn't have, because Drew Bledsoe had the big contract. So you can say, in a sense, Belichick helped make Brady. He put Brady center stage in
100%.
a way. But who helped Brady perform, actually?
Well, again, his initial development was Charlie Weiss, basically, and that group. But whether he really went into the next stratosphere was Josh McDaniel and the offense that he put together, not just Tom Brady, but that entire offense went to a second gear once Josh McDaniel took over. And remember something too. Mac Jones had a really good rookie year under him. They won 11 games with Matt Castle with Josh McDaniel as So he's a pretty good offensive coordinator. He's a horrible head coach. People don't like him. With some of the stuff went on with the Colts when he took the job and then said, "I don't want the job." And he
had 2 head coaching stints. It didn't work out at Denver, and it didn't work out.
I guess you could say 3.
It doesn't mean he couldn't be a good head coach somewhere. Maybe a third time would be the charm. I don't know, would he ever be in demand? The Belichick thing, we're not talking college today, but losing to Clemson the way they did. Just very quickly, Keith, yes or no? Does Belichick turn things around at North Carolina? Because Belichick's legacy is really starting to take a hit.
I don't think so. I don't think he does. I think it could be one and done.
If he runs the course, if Belichick is committed to being there long term, arguably, does he turn it around in a couple of years?
If he's committed to being there and stays there 5 years, the program will get better. Will it be on the level of Alabama and Georgia? No. They're never going to be that. He thinks he can go there and run a professional type organization. That's what he's set up there. And I just don't know that he can. I personally think, and I don't want to spend too much time here, but I personally think when he went there, he set up his contract so it would be very easy for him to leave for an NFL job, and he's not getting one. So.
You know what? No. If Belichick hypothetically, and I couldn't see him doing this, Keith, but if he was willing to come back as a defensive coordinator, he would absolutely get a job as a defensive coordinator. I'm going to give you a crazy scenario. If Nick Saban got antsy and wanted to go to the NFL, he would hire Belichick as his defensive coordinator. And that's maybe the only guy Belichick would become a defensive coordinator for, perhaps. But I shouldn't have brought the Belichick thing.
It's good conjecture.
We were talking about New England.
That's okay. It's good conjecture, but neither one of those things is happening, by the way. Nick Saban's not going to the NFL, and Belichick's not going to be.
We got to fantasize. A year ago, I predicted, and I really did, Aaron Rodgers would be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback this year.
Well, that's fair. I mean, that was a pretty good. I mean,
and that came. I could see that. I could see where it was headed. Yeah.
I'll come back to. There's a couple NFL question or comments. I'll go back to them because I want to before we move on from the undefeateds or formerly undefeateds. I want to talk about the Eagles and Broncos yesterday. Broncos, I did not give much of a chance coming in here. The way they played very well, and I don't understand. And I actually poo-pooed a little bit yesterday, and I'll give you some kudos. Maybe things aren't so wonderful in Philadelphia. I do not know how Saquon Barkley gets 6 carries in that game. You got to.
I'm not going to tell you, Keith, the games I predicted wrong yesterday because it seemed like I predicted half the games wrong. But I did pick the Broncos to beat the Eagles yesterday. The thing that threw me for a loop was it wasn't A.J. Brown complaining after the game. It was Devontae Smith, who usually doesn't talk a lot. He's saying him and Jalen Hurts and not on the same page. No, he said Hurts isn't on the same page with the receivers. And then A.J. Brown said, no, he's not talking about me. I'm on the same page. I see his hand signals, this and that. Devontae's talking about himself. And Devontae Smith isn't like an outgoing guy. So when he's frustrated, the Eagles to, get back to the Super Bowl, to win the Super Bowl, they've got to get coordinated. Sometimes a team is very successful that they're defending Super Bowl champions, and they can still be complacent just because they're getting win after win. We could be thinking everything is fine because they're winning, but they're kind of like soft victories or games where they're just getting by. And yesterday, I think, has to be a wake-up call for the Eagles because they actually lost. And they're no longer the NFL's only unbeaten team.
Somebody's got to have a conversation with Sirianni or the offensive coordinator or whoever it is, because how can the reigning MVP and the highest paid running back in the NFL get 9 touches yesterday? 6 rushes and 3 passes. How do you get 9 touches? That's just criminal, and that's where the game is lost. You can't have Jalen Hurts throwing 40 times a game.
Well, they were playing it safe. Their defense, they had the lead. They thought their defense would hold, and the game kind of got away from them where the Broncos came back.
Speaking of the 2 wide receivers, too, even on that, and Hail Marys are a crapshoot, right? But even on that last Hail Mary, they had a chance, and the 2 of them were fighting for the ball, Smith and Brown. The defense had very little to do with that ball dropping. It was the 2 wide receivers that were fighting over it.
On a Hail Mary is what I always thought I would do. If one of my receivers is there trying to get the ball and he has 3 guys on him, I would always stand off to the side, trying to anticipate a deflection coming my way, kind of like the missed deflection that you had with Gronk when the Patriots lost the second Super Bowl to the Giants. It deflected.
That far.
If it went a foot or 2 in a different direction, there's a reasonable chance Gronk snags it for miraculous, historic Super Bowl winning TD.
Yes, I'm not a big Nick Sirianni fan. I know that. I thought maybe I said yesterday on the Big Football Show that maybe he'd grown after that debacle 2 years ago. Maybe he hasn't, though. I don't know.
Well, then come on. Sirianni's went to 2 Super Bowls, defending Super Bowl champions.
He's not well liked.
It's not easy. Sirianni has a philosophy that they're running the team, and he does stand up to the players.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sticking with his philosophy. The question is, the passing game, you have a couple of elite receivers there. You've got to involve them on a regular basis. They're a nightmare for any team, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, they represent a major threat. So utilize, and then you got Saquon Barkley. So it's hard, to bring your defense. If you bring your defense, clog the line of scrimmage, you're going to be releasing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to do more things.
Well, yeah, you get the ball down the field, and that opens up the running game. That's how that's how it works, So, Danny made a comment here about how it being so tough, but yesterday that 50% was probably good. I'll tell you that nobody in the TGI Sports Talk pool has more than 6 wins going into tonight. So there you go. You got to win tonight to be at 50%.
Well, you talk about momentum, Keith, but the situation is whoever goes to the Super Bowl, I mean, even though this is usually the case, could be whoever starts playing much better late on in the season.
Well,
I mean, if you put all these teams in the playoff format today, the Eagles would still be favored by a lot of people coming out of the NFC. But certain teams are overachieving, I think, like the 49ers, which I don't expect them to quite sustain this. But there's certain teams who aren't playing that well. We were talking yesterday on the Sunday show about the Baltimore Ravens. And I said, look, even if the Ravens lose to the Texans, they can absolutely still go to the playoffs, even though they're 1-4. But it's how you lose and how you're trending, I think, sometimes. I'm not talking about moral victories. I'm not into that. Exactly. How you're trending. The way the Ravens lost, I lost faith in them.
Yeah.
I mean, 40-14. It's one thing you lose 19-14 to the Texans. You have all these injuries, all this. We'll get it straightened out. We're going to win 5-6 in a row. We're going to get back in it. We're going to go to the playoffs, and we're going to get to the playoffs healthy, and we're going to win. You have that attitude. But when you lose 40-14, I get the feeling when you're that talented a team, even with injuries, and you're getting blown out a couple of weeks in a row, I think you quit. You're quitting. You're quitting.
I hate that word, but I don't disagree because you can't get beat. And I thought they'd find a way to win this game, or at least, as you said, keep it close. This falls on everybody, players, coaches. This falls on everybody. This is a debacle that can't happen. I thought at 1-4 they would have a shot, because I'm not saying I don't think the Steelers are that good. We know the Bengals aren't. We know the Browns aren't. So the Ravens should still have a shot at 1-4 if they can get hot. But
I'm going to tell you, who would have thought, in the AFC, in that division, the Pittsburgh Steelers might not only win it, but they might win it with room to spare. You never know the way it's looking. Because the way the Ravens are looking, it looks like it could be a lost season. And they're on the verge of a lost season. And forget, I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I got to come clean. James Martin picked them to win the Super Bowl on the Sunday show. But the Bengals look cooked. It doesn't mean they won't come back, the Bengals, because they're usually bad the first few weeks of the season. But the Bengals have been awful. They've won one game. I mean, and you look at the Browns have won one game. And the Ravens have won one game, and the Steelers are 3-1. So 9-8 can win that division. 10-7 might win it comfortably. So if the Steelers could just play decent the rest of the year, and I'm not high on the Steelers by any means. I mean, who knows? Who would have thought that would happen? It's not momentum. Momentum is nonsense.
I know where he's going here, because it goes back a little bit. We were talking about playing well late in the season. That's momentum. The Patriots made a 20-year dynasty out of owning December, and then later on January. That's momentum, building momentum at the end of the year. That's what, again, it's
playing better at the end of the year, hitting a peak. It happens to all teams at one point or another. Team could be playing great going into the postseason, great. And the law of averages is you tail off a little bit. I mean, we were even talking baseball. John Carlos Stanton was incredible for a few weeks. He was so good. I thought to myself, sit Aaron Judge down when he comes off injured reserve if you need a DH, because he's not going to. I wouldn't have done it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm thinking he can't be better than Stanton's been going. So you don't want to call Stanton off. But it happens with teams. Right now, the Ravens are a wreck, losing 40-14 to the Texans. And the Texans were struggling. They won a game last week. But don't tell me the Texans could ever go into Baltimore and beat a normal Baltimore Raven team 40-14 unless the Ravens quit. No one beats the Ravens 40-14 in Baltimore unless it's a complete aberration.
Yeah. And as Scott Colby says, and good morning, Scott. I didn't say good morning to you.
He has. I'm sorry.
Rams are likely to, and they do have 2 wins, yes. But the Ravens are likely to get beat by 40 again next week, because the Rams probably will knock them out of playoff contention next week.
But one thing about the schedule, and I got to give credit what's due to the Indianapolis Colts, because I look at their schedule and I say, well, they're going to continue to win with Daniel Jones because they have a weak schedule. And if you look at their whole schedule, it's not a strong schedule, but then again, there are no gimmies. You got to earn all your wins. I picked the Arizona Cardinals to win their division, and they might still do it. I'm not giving up on them. But if you looked at the Cardinals' schedule, they have the Tennessee Titans on it. And you tell yourself, well, that's a win. They're going to win that game. They're home against the Titans, who haven't won a game this year. And the Titans were struggling. Yet Arizona finds a way to, blow that game that was incomprehensible. Once again,
a
player is about to cross the goal line and he loses possession of the ball, not because he was showboating per se. The name escapes me for the second, because he held the ball out. He wasn't showboating, in all fairness to him. He wasn't like clowning like this. But secure the ball as if someone's about to tackle you. I know it's an instinct when you're about to get to the finish line, any finish line in any sport, where you kind of celebrate for an instant instinctively. I get all that. But they have to have drills, these teams. everyone running to past the line.
Yeah.
You run 5 yards into the end zone before you can celebrate. Celebrate in the back of the darn end zone. That's where you hold your hands up.
That's a mental mistake yesterday. I mean, again, right? I mean, it's stupid, but it's a mental mistake and it can't happen. And it did change, by the way, the momentum of that entire game. They've been up 28-6 if that score holds up.
Momentum changes in games. I'm talking seasons. Momentum's a big thing in basketball during a game. Yeah, I get it, but don't give me this baseball thing of momentum. Look, I just want to bring something up to you. The Detroit Tigers were the worst team in baseball, or one of the worst, I mean, for a long period of time to end the year. They blew the division. So much for momentum. I mean, they're in a good spot in the playoffs now. The season ended and they turned the page. I mean, it happens. But in football,
they build some momentum against the end.
I don't know if it's momentum as much as being good or not being good. Well, the Ravens have just been bad. It's not like changing the momentum. It's becoming who you are again.
Bad teams don't build momentum. I mean, that's all there is to it.
So. Well, bad teams are bad teams. They're going to lose games. Look, the Raiders beat your Patriots in the opening game. It's not a question of momentum. The Raiders losing 4 in a row. Apparently, they're not that good. They played a slightly better game than the Patriots in the opener. The Patriots are getting it together under their new coach, Mike Vrabel, and they're getting better. It's not that the Patriots are getting momentum. It's just that they're getting a little better by the week as they're going along, and kudos to them. They're surprising me, and I said before the game yesterday, for them, this Bill game it's a statement game in a way, okay? I mean, they were expected to lose the game, and to me, as long as they played a good competitive game, and I'm not talking moral victories, it's all right they lost the game because the Patriots are work in progress still, but a positive work in progress. But they actually went out and won the game. It's a statement game. We don't have to wait till next year. We can win the division now. They're sending a statement to the Bills. Is it going to happen? I highly doubt it. Buffalo's probably going to restore order. But can New England push the Patriots the rest of the way? No.
They can.
If New England beats the Patriots hypothetically in their one remaining game in New England, they would have the tiebreaker. The records would be even hypothetically, and all of a sudden it's serious business. But I think when all is said and done, Buffalo just puts their foot on the accelerator. But maybe New England pushes them the whole way now.
Scott had a great comment with the Patriots' schedule is very favorable coming up. They're going to be 6-2. They should be 6-2 after 8 games. They should. So
see, the Jets.
When they
play the Jets are due to win some games.
If I lose,
as they've been, the Jets are not going to go 0-17. They're not going to go 1-16. They're not going to go 2-15. The Jets have to win a game here and there. They're just too talented.
So
I mean, they've been playing. They haven't been playing well, but they won. If the Jets 5 losses, you could argue a couple of them they could have won. And as the season goes along, they'll grab a game now and then, and it's got to be against someone.
I would have thought there was a possibility yesterday. They aren't even in the game, and
what a disappointment. I mean, I'm going to tell you how bad things got, Keith. And some Jet fans might get annoyed at me, or maybe they'll be understanding me being a Jet fan. I got to the point the Jet game's going on, and I started turning to the Giant game. That's how bad it was. I couldn't bear to watch it anymore. And the final score, the Jets lost by 15 points. Final score made it closer than it actually was at the end. And
to your point about the Jets having to win, I agree with Scott. I'm glad the Saints won yesterday because we don't face an 0-5 team who's got to win someplace, similar to the Jets.
I want to clear something up. I said about Aaron Glenn on the Sunday Big Football Show. I wasn't asking for him to be fired. I don't want to see that happen. What I was saying, if you hire a rookie coach, you're not necessarily obligated to go with him beyond 1 year. If you come to the conclusion this isn't my guy. I took a chance on him, and I'm seeing based on this year, you don't. And I know you're going to tell me the Bill Parcells situation.
No.
Parcells had a terrible first year. He could have gotten fired, and wow, how would history have played out then? And Parcells turned out to be one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. I would give Eric, I'd only move on from a first year coach if he lost control of the team completely, okay, which happened at Denver with what's his name, our jet coordinator. Or you had a Mike Vrabel waiting, all of a sudden became available.
That's the
but
key.
I'll stick with Aaron Glenn beyond this year and let him see if he could get his culture working.
I will agree 100% that you don't fire the coach just for firing the sake of the coach unless the building's burning down, right? If you have a guy you love, like the Patriots loved Mike Vrabel, they couldn't hire him off his firing because they had an agreement with Mayo. And I like Gerard Mayo, and I feel bad the way that all went down, but, you know, that's the guy they wanted all along, and that's the guy they got. So
Gerard Mayo would have still – but do you agree with me, if Mike Vrabel wasn't available – Gerard Mayo would probably have been given a second season.
Yeah, he'd be there.
I would have liked for him to be given a second season. If you're the owner, you sit him down and say, look, what mistakes did you make? So on. And you tell, if you can't be tough in these areas, let your coordinators be the bad guys or the front office, the GM or whatever. Let's work to your strengths. But Mike Vrabel was available. And I could understand Robert Kraft not wanting to bypass that. Oh, by the way, what do you think of Bill Parcells? He got in the Patriot Hall of Fame, Keith, and he said he'd made mistakes. He wished he'd handled things differently. Revisionist talk, but what do you think of that?
I'm glad he finally admitted it. I mean, because it's very obvious to every single person other than him that he was selfish during that Super Bowl week in '96. He was selfish negotiating with the Jets because they wouldn't let him shop for the groceries in New England. So good. I'm glad he came around. He's still not a good guy in my mind, but that's, you know, he's a great.
Well, the worst thing he did after the Super Bowl loss to the Packers, he didn't fly back with the team.
That's because he was going to stay with the Jets.
He knew he was gone, but you fly back with the team. They're your guys. But Bill Parcells always had a tendency, Keith, to bring back players who he coached with other teams, like Drew Bledsoe to the Cowboys, Curtis Martin to the Jets, etc.
Yeah. Well, Curtis Martin worked out a lot better than Drew Bledsoe did, for sure. I talked a little about this yesterday. Scott brings up that Jets keep hiring defensive coaches. Usually somebody after a bad run with defensive coaches would hire an offensive mind. And we talked about him having a rookie offensive coordinator as well, Aaron Glenn. I'm a little surprised they haven't gone in that direction here in one of these changes the last 5 times.
Well, how about Josh McDaniel? Give him one more shot at the head coach.
No. He can't. He'll make your franchise worse, and he'll make ours worse as well by leaving. So we don't want that. Rick says we tease James about
can't get any worse. Jets can't get any worse right now.
Well, the Jets are the worst team in football. At least their record says they are, as Bill Parcells said.
Well, right now, you wait for the season to end. The Saints don't have a very good team. They really don't. Don't expect much from the Saints going forward. It's just that the Giants teased us last week with Jackson Dart. We figure, Jackson Dart was sensational. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. The Giants have their quarterback. Yeah, I think Jackson Dart potentially could be a very good quarterback going forward, but we don't know. Let him play. He's a rookie. He's going to make a lot of mistakes, Jackson Dart. Let him grow.
He's got no weapons, so
let him grow. But, I mean, kudos to the Saints. They won. And, you know, the Giants turned the ball over, 5 times in a row. Give the Saints defense some credit for that, for sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, Spencer Rattler had to finally win a game. He's not that bad of a quarterback, you know, to lose week after week. And I don't think the Saints are sure whether Spencer Rattler is their guy going forward, but they'll play him this year, and we'll, you know, see by the end of the year, they'll see whether he's their guy, because I don't think they have Schluck, the guy they took number 40th overall. I don't feel they quite have the faith. And what did you think Dylan Gabriel yesterday, Keith?
I didn't see a lot of him, but I saw one drive where he looked he looked okay. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I don't think it's a horrible start for him yesterday.
No, I would give him a grade of a B.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good start. I think Dylan Gabriel, Keith, can be a competent quarterback. I really do. I think he'll be able to run an offense. And I actually think he could develop into a viable starter, a viable starter in the league. So Cleveland's going to play him the rest of the year. And they'll see that. The only way to learn is to see, watch him play. And
Agreed.
Yesterday, I think there was reason for optimism, but he made mistakes as well, a couple of bad throws. But all in all, I would say he was good. Nothing to get overly excited about, but I would say good all in all.
I want to go back to, we talked a little bit on Indianapolis, who won in commanding fashion, obviously 40-6 over what looks like a bad Raider team. But this has been a very consistent team so far. One loss on the road. Daniel Jones has played very good football. And I'm going to ask you again, in week 17, are you still going to be telling me it's only been 17 weeks? We can't judge Daniel Jones just yet.
No. Look, he already had one good regular season with the Giants on balance and won a playoff game against the Vikings. And I think the difference so far is Daniel Jones hasn't been turning the ball over with Indianapolis the way he did with the Giants. There's enough of, can Daniel Jones have a revival to his career the way Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield did? I mean, people forget Baker Mayfield was a proven quarterback at Cleveland for a couple of years.
That's a little different.
The reason the Browns moved on from Baker Mayfield was because they had a chance to get Deshaun Watson, who was considered a lead at the time.
And he had a bad shoulder, too.
Yeah, so. I think Daniel Jones will be fine the rest of the year, and he might be a good NFL quarterback, but I want to see Daniel Jones go out there at some point. He's going to have to, play lights out at some point. Go out and win a game the way the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen did it. I'm not sure he's the guy to do it, but going forward, I think Daniel Jones will be successful the rest of the year. And it looks like they're getting to the playoffs. But I still want to wait a little more, but he is playing well. Kudos to Daniel Jones. And maybe he is going to turn out to be the cold quarterback of the future.
So here's a good question, because I had said for years Daniel Jones would have a chance at an NFL career once he got out of New York. Mac Jones was nowhere, and he was in the desert for 3 years after the Patriots really screwed him up. But the kid had some potential. Who's the better Jones right now, Mac or Daniel?
There's a little bit of a difference involved, and tell me whether you agree. I think Mac Jones has been more of a playmaker this year than Daniel Jones. He's had to make things happen. He's had to create things more so. Daniel Jones has Jonathan Taylor there. He's the force on offense, but Daniel Jones has played very well.
He didn't run the ball great yesterday.
He really played very well, and he's played very smartly. Daniel Jones, even in the one loss to the Rams, he played a good game on balance. And if you're asking me who's slightly better at this one, who I would trust a little more going forward, just a tiny bit more, I mean, maybe Daniel Jones, because he's more of a pocket passer than Mac Jones. Is more of a pure pocket passer. And they both use their legs when they have to, but slightly Daniel Jones at this moment.
I kind of agree. And I agree with Danny. He's on a better team. And also, he's probably going to get a chance. Jones may not get a chance. The other Jones, Mac Jones, may not get a chance to play.
Brock Purdy, But let me ask you this. If Anthony Richardson was the cold quarterback, would they be winning these games? We don't know. I don't want to say yes or no.
I don't know, but because there's no way to know unless you have a crystal ball. Yeah. But based on the history of the way he's played, I would say they're not going to be 4-1.
Oh, no, wait. But if Daniel Jones was on past Colt teams based on the history of how they played, who knows how they'd be doing.
Well, we got a couple comments. Damien says that
it is an easy schedule, but then again, no games are easy in the NFL in that sense. Look at all the upsets that take place, and I don't think I'll pay Daniel Jones a compliment here. I don't think any other NFL quarterback to this point could have really done a better job with the Colts than Daniel Jones has done thus far. How's that?
I would think that's fair. And I'm a little surprised.
Yes, I'm giving him his flowers. I don't think any other quarterback, Mahomes, Josh Allen, would do better with that team to this point.
And you know what? With the records and schedules and whatnot, the schedules are made out in advance. You play who's in front of you. Again, the one place I've always agreed with Bill Parcells is you are what your record says you are. And that's all it is. So,
but it catches up to you eventually. You can't.
Yeah.
People like you, Keith Engle, tend to hide behind good records. Say, there are no problems. Look at the records, blah, blah, blah. But there are underlying things. We said that with the Eagles. There's danger lurking behind good records.
How can you say that when the Yankees are winning 95 and 100 games every year? I point out all the problems on this team.
I like Jonathan Taylor, if I had to say MVP.
I would say as well.
But they always look towards a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, who's more of an MVP on the Colts? Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones? I would say Jonathan Taylor, but Daniel Jones is a quarterback, and they're given favoritism.
And Brian agrees with your comments, although the Jones question is close. Ain't just the next three.
I'll say for both Joneses, Mac Jones maybe wouldn't have be doing as well as Daniel Jones if he was on the Colts, and Daniel Jones wouldn't be doing as well as Mac Jones if he was on the Niners. How's that?
And Jack did throw me under the bus a little bit, Danny, but that's okay.
I do it so much, Danny. I don't even know that. I realize I do it.
I got tire tracks up and down my entire body from doing the show with Jack. Let me tell you, geez, good grief. By the way, I agree with CA here. The Patriots' schedule is very favorable outside of Buffalo, and they've got some teams that are not playing up to the way that we thought they'd play. There's the possibility this team wins 10, even 11 games if they keep playing like they're playing.
Wait, they played Miami once, right? Earlier this year.
They did beat Miami.
Yeah, so they're playing them again. How do you like Miami losing to the Panthers?
They're a terrible football team. McDaniel's got to go like today. He needs to go. I'm not. And again,
leave it to play. Let him see if he straightens things out.
This guy
by firing him.
I think he's lost this team. And again, I'm not, as Danny knows, I'm not in favor of firing coaches necessarily, unless things have gotten so bad within the locker room and whatnot. And I think that team is just a mess.
We don't know how things are in the locker room.
From what you read in the Miami papers, it's not good. So I can tell you right now. Anyway, I've skipped over this, and real quick, we'll finish up the show with this. And Friday, I think I want to we'll get into a little bit of who might be real and not real as far as some of the records here quarter way through the season. Brian's actually right. It's not about momentum or signature wins. It is about consistency. But when I say signature wins by the Patriots, a team that is building and trying to get to where the Lions are, Brian, that's a signature win, which what we think will lead to the consistency that you're talking about. So in that
it's a statement win for the Pats. Kudos to the Pats. It's a statement win that they're for real as far as being able to perhaps, contend against the Buffalo Bills for the rest of the year. It was definitely a statement win.
Yeah, Scott had called the Patriots 10-7. I had them 9-8. Right now, as I went through the schedule yesterday, and I had them losing to Buffalo and winning 10 games. So I'm just saying, we got a good shot here. Anyway, great job here, Jack. We got a lot of comments. You guys have all been great today. Jack, you've been great today. I didn't see a need to go game by game because it wasn't a great schedule yesterday.
We know the games that were played, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers win another thriller.
They're one, and we'll talk about them more on Friday because this team is never out of a game. I love the way they play, and your other guy played great yesterday too, and Sam Darnold played great yesterday. Him and Mayfield both. So anyway, lots to talk about on Friday with the coming week. We'll do our college picks. By the way, before we do go, kudos to Jack. He did pick UCLA with the points, at least over Penn State on Saturday. So great job out of you, Jack. Before I go, catch Jack tonight on Glove Fist, 7 o'clock. I'm sure him and Frank will put the gloves on, as they always do. And one special announcement, the college football huddle, my college football huddle will be tomorrow night at 6 p.m. because of HOA meeting on Wednesday. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.